Welcome to Love Life, where we hope that you're making choices and decisions that love you back. I'm Michael, and I'm a person in long term recovery from substance use disorder, co occurring with mental health. Have a few gifts awarded to me: PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, ADD, attention deficit disorder, and I'm healing on purpose from physical abuse and sexual abuse or sexual trauma as a child, teenager, and even as adult from results of being an addiction, um, active addiction as an adult. So today we want to talk about sex and addiction recovery, addiction recovery. First thing we want to look at is just knowing now that I'm on this journey of recovery far as valuing my body and what I do with it and respect for my body. Because, sex may be a physical act and also a spiritual connection for some to it and psychological, depending on the experience and what happened in our past and how we're trying to process that. And depending what addiction we're recovering for, are we trying to replace it with a addiction that is not, or an activity that is not as detrimental, quote unquote, see me, bunny ears, quote unquote, as detrimental to us or as bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad, right? You ever compromise with yourself by saying it's not that bad? So we want to talk about sex and addiction. There's different types we may find, and we want to just educate ourselves, and our sexual actions may be connected, or our sexual behavior may be connected to our past experiences. I'm from New Jersey, so my hands get active. My East Coast has kicked my up north. My East Coast has kicked in Jersey style. So we talk about sex addiction and recovery. So one thing, there may be people where there's a biological addiction, and that is what the act of masturbating and viewing, watching pornography to get that high, that feeling, that rush. And so now people may replace viewing the pornography or the masturbation, maybe replace these activities with may use those type of activities instead of, oh, I'm not using, I'm not drinking, I'm not drugging, doing I'm not using uh, my alternate substances or doing my alternate activities that are very detrimental to my life, but it can be harmful when we're using it to duplicate, to get this rush, this feeling, that dopamine rush, as we would say. Also, there may be a what you call sex attachment through a psychological, which comes from past abuse and neglect, meaning. And so now one medicates past pain. I medicate past pain. Isn't that how addictions rise? Because we're medicating a past pain that we have not started a healing process in, and so the pain is still there and it's unresolved. And so we are medicating past pain with, when it comes psychological, with sexually acting out. And a lot of times, the professionals say that with the psychological, it sometimes comes from experience abandonment, abuse, physical, sexual abuse, or neglect issues. Uh, the painful events should be addressed so healing can begin. So I hope wherever you are when it comes to that experience, that you're brave enough and courage and have enough courage to care about yourself, to start the healing path from that. If you have a painful event as such, which is connected to how you perceive or how we perceive sex and the place for sex. Because the thing is, we want to move towards putting sex in a healthy perspective and not used as a tool of self-medicating. So, and when we're on this journey for lifelong, for healing from the painful events, remember it's a lifelong journey, and what it is also the psychological is acting out, sexually acting out based on the past pains, which provides a neurological high, that dopamine rush. And so the next thing There may be, in connection with sex, people are trying to duplicate a spiritual connection in an unhealthy space, in unhealthy places. And so using um, sex as that spiritual high, sex for a spiritual void. And so it starts off great, but then after a while, we might find ourselves down that addiction rabbit hole. And now, um, the genuineness of having a connection with someone through the act of sex is lost in the looking for the what next high from the connection. So they may not be actually connecting; it just may be for your personal, quote unquote, spiritual experience. And also in this spiritual connection, looking to build your self-esteem, see somebody wants me, someone I'm desirable, and things in that nature. Okay. Then there is sex that is attached. So we're talking about sex and recovery, right? Because when you recovery, it's not just only no longer having the phenomenal craving for whatever that substance is that we used to be addicted to or that activity, but also we're coming into light to understand putting things in its proper place and healthy understanding. And that's why we're talking about sex and addiction recovery, so we can identify these areas and kind of help ourselves heal. And again, I'm a person that I encourage that you take that healing path under the guidance of a professional. That's just for me, but in any way, all I want is the best for us and the best for you, and the best quality of your life, and no longer living in the pain in the past or feel like you have to be shamed that has happened to us, the physical or sexual abuse, but live in the quality that we have now because we have chosen the pathway of recovery. So we're talking about trauma-based sexual trauma as a child and adolescent. As I mentioned before, I'm healing on purpose from physical and sexual abuse, sexual trauma, from childhood experience, teenager experience, and even in my adult experience because of my substance use disorder, because of my active addiction, and that's how that put me in those risky positions. Just to be honest, to allow myself to abuse or to abuse my body because of addiction. Um, so now the trauma determine. Here's the thing: the sexual trauma that we experience determines the performance of the sexual act, how we act out from what was done to us, and so and also the fantasy in our head is similar to the trauma, and that is real. As I'm healing on purpose, I find some things where I have these thoughts. I thought is uncharacteristic or is sick. I don't like them. But as I went through professional guidance, it's because the trauma from that sexual experience. And so now I need to go through the healing process, so I'm able to identify that that's not me, is that it was triggered from the trauma that was afflicted on me, or given forced on me from the sexual and physical abuse. And what happens if we're not aware of it, that sexual trauma that we experience becomes the repetitive behavior. And for some of us, that may be, that may take us down a criminal minds path. I'm just going to be honest, really, seriously. And last but not least, what we want to about today, and it's more of a clinical term, but it's something real, because we always hear the term hurting people, hurt people. Intimacy, anorexia, which it is because I don't have it to give. So I'm saying I'm gonna use me for the movie. I'm withholding love or praise or appreciation with the people, a person I'm in a romantic, intimate relationship with, my spouse or my significant other or my life partner. I control by silence and anger because I'm not dealing with my past pains and my traumas. Criticism, I use criticism causing isolation. Criticism, what's going on. So again, is a control atmosphere. I blame my spouse or my life partner for everything, avoiding causes. So these are some symptoms or some things, right? Some acting out that you do when it's intimacy, anorexia. I got to slow that word down. And so what happens is hurting people hurt people. So then what does that do? That inflicts, my big college word that I paid for, that inflicts emotional trauma, pain, and anxiety to the person that was supposed to be in a relationship with. And so we went down these lists of everything to say, as we're taking this pathway of recovery, care for your body and your mind, and be courageous enough to identify these things um, that have happened to you, and how you want to process them, so it doesn't become a tool for relapse, but it becomes a tool for healing, a launching pad or a launching point for healing. So let's make our allow our past to push us forward into a space of healing and to desire. So I hope that's your desire. So on today we've talked about it. It could be a very touchy subject, but I feel it's something that need to be shared. And because I care about you, my friend, so much, I was willing to talk about the uncomfortable thing that's maybe in our head or in the room, or I never shared with the counselor when I had the chance. So I hope you have the courage and the care and the concern to make choices and decisions that love you back, so that you are encouraged to love life. Until next time.